Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Well, what's happening with higher education? Is it being propagandized? Can you trust sending your graduates off to a university and have them come back different? Well, we are delighted to have with us today Avi Davis. He is an attorney, a journalist, a travel journalist, a commentator, a documentarian, and a senior fellow of the American Freedom Alliance. And coming up this month, he's putting together a seminar, or a summer conference, I should say, on failing grades, the crisis of competence in teaching on our university campuses. So, Avi, nice to have you with us. Good to see you, my friend.
It's great to see you, too. Thank you so much.
Where are you? Where are we Skyping you in from?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay, nice to have you. Well, why are you taking this on? What's your concern?
Well, first of all, the American Freedom Alliance, the organization I represent, is dedicated to the defense of Western values and ideals and identifying potential threats to the West. We have covered this topic before at a conference called How Free is the University, which addressed academic freedom in 2008. We felt that we need to now move on from that topic and address the actual teaching standards on our university campuses and how and what students are emerging with at the end of their college careers. The results of a number of reports are very dispiriting, and we felt that a conference was necessary to examine whether this is a malady or a malaise which is occurring across the Western world, because it's very important to the future of Western democracy.
Wow. All right, so you've put together a conference. Tell us about it. Called Failing Grades, is that right?
Yes, it's called Failing Grades, the Crisis in Teaching on Our University Campuses, and it's designed, as I've said, it is designed to address not just California, where the situation is quite egregious, but all of the West. It is really divided into three parts. First is the presentation of a report by the California Association of Scholars, which is called A Crisis of Competence. It examines 9 universities in the University of California system and takes them to task for enforcing ideological conformity and not allowing dissenting points of view. So that's the first part. The second part addresses the role of the trustees and their abandonment, the trustees and regents, who are essentially the guardians, what I regard as the guardians of academic freedom and of teaching quality, and demands of them, or investigates, I should say, why they have abandoned their responsibility to enforce their own rules and regulations regarding fairness and prejudice in the teaching system. The third, and the most interesting for me, is the alternative universe that has now emerged online, in online universities and in distance learning schools, which many of which are now accredited, where one can obtain a degree in a very open environment, open and tolerant environment online over the course of a few years.
Wow. Do you think the regents will admit that excellence in academics has been replaced with ideological conformity?
Absolutely not. In fact, the report to the UC regents, the report written by the California Association of Scholars was directed specifically to the UC regents and was presented to them. And they just basically sloughed it off. The chairman of the board of regents, Sherry Lansing, really wanted nothing to do with it and found every way she could to avoid having to actually present it and discuss it amongst the regents. We have, though, at our conference, a number of regents from the Colorado University system, 3 regents, 2 of whom are still serving as regents, who were able to stand up to the ideological conformity and orthodoxy issues and demand an investigation. We also have someone from Britain who did the same thing and was quite successful. So your question whether the regions will respond is a mixed one. It depends a lot on the political composition of the regions. It also depends to a certain degree on whether they are appointed or elected. In Colorado, they are elected. So that makes a significant difference.
You know, the part of this, Avi, that's so interesting is that it appears that some of our universities have become nothing more than institutions of intolerance. And what I mean by that is it's their way or the highway. There is no allowance for an opposing view.
I'm surprised to hear someone from Oregon saying something like that.
Hang in there, we're okay. We're nice people up here.
I'm good about it. Hopefully, all nice people. Well, that is absolutely true. They've become islands of intolerance, and I would go even further to say this: that the totalitarianism usually begins not amongst the masses, but and fascism too, but amongst the intellectuals, amongst the intellectual elites of societies. And we saw that happen exactly with Nazi Germany and to a certain extent with Soviet Russia as well. And with Mussolini's Italy as well, the intellectuals fell lockstep and barrel behind about the fascist leaders of the 20th century. And so it's a very worrying thing. I'm not saying that, that our universities are beds of Nazism or fascism, but I am saying that intolerance breeds intolerance. And it's a very interesting piece by Daniel Henniger in the Wall Street Journal recently called Bonfire of the Humanities, a very clever title, in which he pointed out that the commencement speakers who were barred recently included not just conservatives but liberals as well. The dean of UC Berkeley, or the chancellor of UC Berkeley, former chancellor, was barred from speaking. I can't remember the university it was, the college he was meant to deliver the commencement address, but he was barred because he had shut down the Occupy movement in 2011 in Sproul Plaza. And what Henniger says is welcome to the club. You're all conservatives now. And this is the truth is that the revolution eats its own, eventually eats its own. It will consume the very people who smugly stand by and watch as conservatives are turned into pariahs and outcasts. It will turn on them because they will not be radical enough for the upcoming radicals.
Wow. Wow. First of all, before I run out of time, Avi, I'd love to have you back on the other side of your conference just to see what happened, because this is fascinating. One of my concerns is this. If the undergraduate students continue to be propagandized in these universities in an incubation of their ideology, what happens when they go on to their higher degree and graduate degrees and even on into schools of medicine and science? What in the world are we producing here?
That's a very good question, and it's the primary focus of this conference. The reason we put this conference together is because we're concerned about the future of our democracy. In the source book that we're just producing, I provide an introductory article in which I give the case of a young woman who presents for an interview. She's a graduate summa cum laude from Vassar, 4 degrees, 1 from Bob Law School in San Francisco. And she's asked the question, when was the United States formed? And she looks puzzled for quite some time, and she comes up with the answer, 1940. And then she's asked, and then the interviewer, thinking, well, not everybody has a facility with dates. He asks, who was the first president of the United States? And she can't come up with an answer, and finally she says, Jimmy Carter. It's true that, civics and all of this stuff should be learned in high school. The problem is that none of it is being taught at the university. The the purposes of the American public, its absolute uniqueness in human history, this experiment, this Republican experiment, which has been so successful for 250 years, this is not being taught in our university. It's not being valued. It's not being, the whole concept of a democratic government is not being valued or appreciated on our university campuses. That is really where we have to enforce, we have to say enough. We need good teaching standards, and if you're not going to provide them, then we're going to go find other places like online schools who will be.
Well, Avi, God bless you for doing this. This is wonderful. Can they track the conference at AFA?
Yes, we'll have video of the conference up pretty soon after the conference ends, and perhaps even some transcripts. So you could go to www.americanfreedomalliance.org, and you can find out about the conference there as well.
Okay.
You can find out all the information. You can see the program, the speakers, their biographies, and if you want to register for the conference, you can do that there too.
Okay, that's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. I would encourage you to check it out. If you can go to the conference, go to the conference, and if not, the least of which, track it when it's all done. Avi, again, I want to have you back when it's all done and get your assessment, but thank you for your passion to take this on. This is fascinating. I know you're going to have an uphill pull, but we're with you, man. Go for it.
Thank you very, very much.
All right, have a great day. All right, we'll be right back.